For today's video, I thought it would be fun to give you a little bit of insight in the books that I love by doing the fantasy book tag. So hello, my fellow fantasy book lovers, and welcome back to my channel. Or if you're new here, hi and welcome. My name is Kathy and I'm a goth girl from Belgium who loves to read fantasy books. This fantasy book tag comes from a website that has a lot of tag videos, and I of course will be leaving all of the questions in the description box of this video, that if you want to do this tag yourself, you can do it too. But now, without further ado, let's get into the questions. The first question is, what is the longest fantasy series that you have ever read? And I'm not sure if this will be like equal. I haven't actually looked up the page numbers. I think the longest series that I've actually read in terms of amount of books must have been the Anita Blake series by Laurel K. Hamilton, because there is like over 30, maybe even 40 books at this point. And I know I've read up until book 20 at least. So I don't know how that series counts because the books aren't super thick as well. Other than that, probably Harry Potter, because that was 7 books, and I know the last ones were chunks, and I read those when I was very young, when they were actually coming out. The next question, what is your favorite fantastical setting or world? I've always really loved the world setting and world building of the Lord of the Rings books, and more specifically of the Hobbits. And then of course we get to the Shire, that I really enjoy because of the coziness, and also one of the parks around me, which is called Paradisa, has this little area in their park that reminds me of the Shire, and it's just so cozy. But then also I really love the world of the elves in Lord of the Rings as well, specifically the woodland part I love, and also the villages and the architecture of it is just that really makes my heart happy. And that is the thing with Lord of the Rings, because there have been movies made about these worlds as well. It's way easier to imagine them, and for some reason these two have always stuck with me. So the Shire and the elven villages from Lord of the Rings. Question number 3 is, besides Harry Potter, what is your favorite fantasy book or series? For now, at this particular moment in time, it is Empire of the Vampire by J. Kristoff. It's the book that I have multiple copies of over there on my dedicated Empire of the Vampire, Empire of the Damned shelf. So far I'm 300 pages in Empire of the Damned, the second book, and it doesn't live up so far to the vibe that I had from Empire of the Vampire. But it could change, because books can like really twist and turn with each chapter. But so far Empire of the Vampire is by miles high my favorite recent book that I've read. And if we don't look at just recent reads, then I think Lord of the Rings would have been up here somewhere as well. And for the next question, what fantasy book do you wish was more popular? It would of course be Neil Gaiman's Neverwhere. I feel like a lot of people know about Stardust, they also know about Good Omens, but Neverwhere is just one of those forgotten books, and I think it's a really big shame because I personally really love it. The next question is, who's your favorite villain? I've recently read Assistant to the Villain, and I really love the villain of that book, and I can't wait how it evolves into the next book. So I'm just gonna say the villain from Assistant to the Villain. And if you've read the book, you know what I'm talking about. It's such a different take on a villain. It's like the good guy gone bad and the bad guy gone good kind of vibe. And yeah, I really, really liked it. Up next, what's the first fantasy book you have ever read? And that's actually a very difficult one, because I know that as a child I already loved reading. And I used to read Mark de Bell, but I don't know if that's considered fantasy, because it's like children's books as well. We also had, I know I started reading Harry Potter very early on, but I also know that at age 12 more or less I read The Hobbit for the first time. So I'm not sure which book I read first and which book was the actual book that got me into fantasy reading first, but it would have been one of the Harry Potter books, or I think maybe The Hobbit. What is your favorite mythical creature? Of course dragons. I love dragons. Even if I love other creatures as well, dragons are just like majestic and epic, and yeah, I love it. I have a lot of books with dragons that I unfortunately haven't read yet. I recently, for my partner, bought a full series of 9 books, Temeraire, by Naomi Novik, And yeah, those are 9 books within like A Realm with Dragons, and I also bought him another set of dragon books. Like, I think if we would compile all of our dragon-based books together, we would have an entire bookcase filled with dragon books only. I think that's amazing, by the way, but I have so many that I still want and need to read. So one of the next months, my reading challenge for that month will be reading dragon books. Up next, my favorite female protagonist from a fantasy book. If you've seen one of my previous videos with my favorite female characters, you already know this. It is, of course, Mia Corvier from the Nevernight trilogy by J. Kristoff. She is such a fierce, badass, take no shit character that I have to just love her. And fun fact, I've been told by some people that I quite resemble her with the fringe and then with some of the outfits that I wear. And yeah, I don't smoke and I don't have scars and everything, but maybe a cosplay would be in the making someday of Mia Corvier because she's really cool. And the books are actually here on this shelf, is the full trilogy in the hardcover editions, and I love them. And then the final question, who's your favorite male protagonist? And I'm gonna say with J. Kristoff's Empire of the Vampire, so it is of course Gabriel de Leon from the first book. The way that Gabriel talks about himself in the first book and how he describes the world with his sarcastic humor is just so much fun. He is the last living silver saint, or living dead, whatever. He's a vampire, but not actual vampire. But in this book we talk about his past and how he becomes a silver saint and what silver saints are. They are basically vampire hunters, but they have some sort of vampiric origin because their fathers are vampires who had human brides or like human mates to have a child with, more or less. So they are like the offspring of vampires. I really love Gabriel de Leon. I really love J. Kristoff's writing. I think Empire of the Vampire is like one of my favorite books. I've probably mentioned it way too many times in this video, but it is currently one of my absolute favorites. And yeah, until I find something better, it will be up there for a very long time, I think. As always, if you want to do this tag as well, feel free to let me know if you've done it or if you've previously done it. I don't know who originally made this tag, but where I found it is linked in the description box of the video, as well as all of the questions together. I did skip one question, which is what is your favorite Harry Potter book? Because I no longer want to think about the Harry Potter books or ever read them again. It's just not something that I'm into, so I just skipped that question altogether. Of course, if you want to answer it, feel free to do so. Of course, feel free to let me know in a comment down below, are there things that you fully agree on or maybe even disagree on with me? And if you have any book recommendations for me that fall within the realm of the things that you heard me talk about today, then I would love to know that as well. Of course, feel free to give this video a big thumbs up if you liked it, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I make new videos every week and I would love to have you here for every single one of them. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you very soon with a new video. Bye!